Hi, my name is Harriet Lai, and I'll be analyzing a scene from The Martian, where they try to grow potatoes on Mars. I will be looking at how they grow these potatoes and whether or not it can be replicable right now. So first, some context. The Martian revolves around the main character, Mark Watney, who is on a mission with his crew on Mars to live there for several years. A few months in, there is a massive dust storm that forces the crew to evacuate and abort their mission. However, Watney gets injured and becomes unconscious during the storm, and his crew, thinking he is dead, leaves the planet without him. Once he recovers, he is now abandoned on the planet, with no help for at least a year and a half. While he is able to ration some of his food, he will still need more. Luckily, he is a botanist, so he decides to take some of the potatoes that they have brought with them to Mars and attempt to grow them. So now that we have the context, let's look at what conditions are needed to grow potatoes. So we'll look specifically at the soil conditions that are needed to grow potatoes. So first, soil should have a pH of 5 to 7. It should also be light, loose, drained soil. The soil should be at least 45 degrees Fahrenheit, and it should be moist and not waterlogged. And it should contain phosphorus and potassium and a bit of nitrogen. And there should just be a lot of soil since potatoes grow underground. So now let's look at what the Mars soil conditions are. So first, it contains perchlorates, which are very toxic. It also has a lack of nutrients, so Watney in this case uses human feces as a fertilizer to provide those nutrients. It has a pH of 8.3, and there still isn't a lot known about the Mars soil, which is why we want to have more research on the soil, especially when we're able to get soil from Mars and bring it back to Earth to really study it. So now looking at these two charts, we can see that there are some conditions that are met already. So this includes the light, loose, drained soil. And since the area that the potatoes are grown is insulated, it can regulate the temperatures so that it isn't too high or too low. And then also, it's Mars, it has a lot of soil, and so it also meets that condition. So now we can look at the process of how Watney was able to get the moist soil conditions. So in order to get the moist soil, it requires a lot of water, and Watney really only has a limited amount of water, so what he has to do is to create more water. And so the solution he comes up with is the first reaction is to take hydrazine, which is basically rocket fuel, and decompose it using a radium catalyst. And then, since the decomposition of hydrazine will produce H2 gas, then we will take the H2 gas and basically burn it to react with the O2 to create H2O, which is water. And this, you can see, is a setup for the process. And then this is what was used as fuel to burn the H2 gas. So now we can look at the reactions. And so you have hydrogen, which is N2H4, and it decomposes into N2 and 2H2. And then using the H2, it will react with O2 to create the H2O, which is water. And also note that the decomposition of hydrogen is an endothermic reaction, and the composition of water is an exothermic reaction. So now some additional notes. So as I first mentioned, the formation of water is an extremely exothermic reaction, which is why making water this way can be really dangerous. It could potentially lead to some explosion, as shown in the picture where you see Watney's first attempt at making the water, and as you can see, it led to explosion. And also to note, hydrazine is also a very reactive substance, and so handling that is also not the safest. And so there are safer ways to get water on Mars. Mars can get really cold, so ice can be found made out of water and carbon dioxide, usually found at its poles or under the surface. But however, considering that Watney was pretty desperate in this scenario, using hydrazine wasn't the worst option. So now, can this be replicated? After considering this, we can conclude that right now, this isn't replicable. The main thing is that we still don't know a lot about Martian soil, and if the soil can be studied thoroughly, it can offer a lot on whether or not potatoes can be grown on Mars. Though Martian is a fictional story, maybe in the future it can actually be a reality. Thank you for listening and have a great day.